Chapter 1 Introductory Part 3. Different races take to different processes of controlling nature. Just as in the same society, some individuals want to control the external nature and others the internal. So, among races, some want to control the external nature and others the internal. Some say that by controlling internal nature, we control everything. Others that by controlling external nature, we control everything. Carried to the extreme, both right, because in nature there is no such division as external or internal. They are fictitious limitations that never existed. The externalist and the internalist are destined to meet at some point when both reach the extreme of their knowledge. Just as a physicist, when he pushes his knowledge to his limits, finds it melting away into metaphysics, so a metaphysician will find that what he calls mind and matter are but apparent distinctions, the reality being one. The end and aim of all science is to find the unity, the one out of which the main fold is being manufactured, that one existing as many. Raja Yoga proposes to start from the internal world, to study internal nature, and through that control the whole, both internal and external. It is a very old attempt. India has been its special stronghold, but it was also attempted by other nations. In Western countries, it was regarded as mysticism, and people who wanted to practice it were either burned or killed as witches and sorcerers. In India, for various reasons, it fell into the hands of persons who destroyed 90% of the knowledge and tried to make a great secret out of the remainder. In modern times, many so called teachers have arisen in the West, worse than that of India, because the latter knew something which these modern exponents know nothing. Anything that is secret and mysterious in these systems of yoga should be at once rejected. The best guide in life is strength. In religion, as in all other matters, discard everything that weakens you, have nothing to do with it. Mystery mongering weakens the human brain. It has well nigh destroyed yoga, one of the grandest of sciences. From the time it was discovered more than 4,000 years ago, yoga was perfectly delineated, formulated, and preached in India. It is a striking fact that the more modern the commentator, the greater the mistakes he makes, while the more ancient the writer, the more rational he is. Most of the modern writers talk of all sorts of mystery. Thus, yoga fell into the hands of few persons who made it a secret instead of letting the full blaze of daylight and reason fall upon it. They did so that they might have powers to themselves. In the first place, there is no mystery in what I teach. What little I know, I will tell you. So far as I can reason it out, I will do so. But as to what I do not know, I will simply tell you what the books say. It is wrong to believe blindly. You must exercise your own reason and judgment. You must practice and see whether these things happen or not. Just as you would wake up any other science, exactly in the same manner, you should take up this science for study. There is neither mystery nor danger in it. So far as it is true, it ought to be preached in the public streets in broad daylight. Any attempt to mystify these things is productive of great danger. Before proceeding further, I will tell you of a little Shankhya philosophy upon which the whole of Raja Yoga is based. According to the Shankhya philosophy, the genesis of perception is as follows. The affection of external objects are carried out by the outer instruments to their respective brain centers or organs. The organs carry the affections to the mind to the determinative faculty. From this, the Purusha, the soul, receives them when perception results. Next, he gives the order back, as it were, to the motor centers to do the needful. With the exception of the Purusha, all of these are material, but the mind is much finer matter than the external instruments. That material of which the mind is composed goes also to form the subtle matter called the Tan Mantras. These become gross and make the external matter. That is the psychology of the Shankhya. So that between the intellect and the grosser matter outside, there is only a difference in degree. The Purusha is the only thing which is immaterial. The mind is an instrument, as it were, in the hands of the soul, through which the soul catches external objects. The mind is constantly changing and vacillating and can, when perfected, either attach itself to several organs, to one, or to none. For instance, if I hear the clock with great attention, I will not perhaps see anything, although my eyes may be open, showing that the mind was not attached to the seeing organ, while it was to the hearing organ. But the perfected mind can be attached to all the organs simultaneously. It has the reflexive power of looking back into its own depths. This reflective power is what the yogi wants to attain. By concentrating the powers of the mind and turning them inwards, he seeks to know what is happening inside. There is in this no question of mere belief, it is the analysis arrived at by certain philosophers. Modern physiologists tell us that the eyes are not the organs of vision, but that the organ is one of the nerve centers of the brain. And so, with all the senses, they also tell us that these centers are formed of the same material as the brain itself. The Shankhya also tell us the same thing. The former is a statement on the physical side and the latter on the psychological side. Yet both are the same. Our field of research lies beyond this. The yogi proposes to attain that fine state of perception in which he can perceive all the different mental states. There must be mental perception of all of them. One can perceive how the sensation is traveling, how the mind is receiving it, how it is going to the determinative faculty, and how this gives it to the Purusha. As each science requires certain preparations and has its own method, which must be followed before it could be understood, even so in Raj Yoga. Certain regulations as to food are necessary. We must use that food which brings us the purest mind. If you go into a menagerie, you will find this demonstrated at once. You see the elephants, huge animals, but calm and gentle. And if you go towards the cages of the lions and tigers, you find them restless, showing how much difference has been made by food. All the forces that are working in this body have been produced out of food. We see that every day. If you begin to fast, first your body will get weak, the physical forces will suffer, then after a few days, the mental forces will suffer also. First, memory will fail, then comes a point when you are not able to think, much less to pursue any course of reasoning. We have therefore to take care what sort of food we eat at the beginning, and when we have got strength enough, when our practice is well advanced, we need not be so careful in this respect. While the plant is growing, it must be hedged round, lest it be injured. But when it becomes a tree, the hedges are taken away. It is strong enough to withstand all assaults. A yogi must avoid the two extremes of luxury and austerity. He must not fast, nor torture his flesh. He who does so, says the Gita, cannot be a yogi. He who fasts, he who keeps awake, he who sleeps much, he who works too much, he who does no work, none of these can be a yogi.